start off. Myself, Umesh Unnikrishnan. Many of them may have not met me and connected with me. I am the director of Theistic Business Consultants. We are a consulting firm working with various government departments. We represent a network of 100 countries to India today, working across 12 sectors. Environment is one of our key sectors. We have worked very closely with MPCB in the past. In fact, a lot of their global collaborations, we have been driving it for Maharashtra. On the other hand, we are also associated with a lot of industrial associations and networking bodies where they are trying to initiate a lot of things. So our primary role has been trying to connect the government industry with the global technologies, which will also includes the technologies in India. uh, the reason we have this discussion today is, a lot of people in this segment have been presenting their technologies to in on various platforms. From the global conferences or exhibitions to sessions here like EPAT and all. We have seen a lot of people presenting the technologies. When we interact with the government, uh, yeah, sorry. So this may keep on happening due to a digital thing. However, our role has been in identifying or creating a roadmap for the government, where they have multiple times highlighted us where they want to focus on the technology part, and how can they reach out to more technologies and try to see how the partnerships can work. So I think there is where we wanted to facilitate or become a bridge between the opportunity and the technologies here. Uh, Through our various associations, we try to set up this discussion first. In fact, our whole idea is and the purpose is that what can we drive on ground, and not to have technology presentations which are not going towards implementation. We have significant partnerships with the government. I have identified a lot of people who are responsible for this. A few of them could join us today, and I would like to thank all of the officials from the government of Maharashtra and Gujarat. And I think we are expecting somebody from Goa as well, who will be able to at least tell us that which are the 2 or 3 areas that we want to focus on. This is more of a brainstorming session, I would say, rather than a presentation or a discussion, where we have to think through that how can we support on implementation of technologies on ground. So that's the way we have designed it. With us, we have our partners, Solid Waste India. We have Aninda and Afreen from their team as well, so who are a part of the German organization called EcoProg, who are a very strong consulting firm in the Europe and US. Again, as I said, collaborated between us and Solid Waste India. We reached out first to the associations that what are we trying to do here, which are the areas of concern your industry significantly has. So we have Material Recycling Association of India as a partner. We have SME Chamber, who has given us support. Indian Plastic Institute, which is also one of a big player. National Solid Waste Association has been there, but I guess today they could not join us. We have Textile Machinery Association, ITAMMA, who is also there. Our idea is to specifically identify 2 or 3 key areas where we want the government to tell us that these are the 2, 3 things that we are looking at, and instead of going across on all segments. Now today everybody is talking about climate change and technologies required, which encompasses almost everything under the sky, rather than only on solid waste management. If the government says that let's focus on these 2 low hanging fruits first, and can we deliberate on that, get the technology players aligned with the government's interest, propose them a couple of pilot projects or something where the business can also get initiated. That's the whole objective. This roadshow, we are focusing on the Western zone. We are similarly having other zonal discussions where we will invite the states from other states also, zones also, and the technology players as well. Going forwards, the idea is that after this discussion, after a couple of months of deliberation, we should be able to co-create some pilot projects which can be proposed to the government departments, which should be sustainable, as well as the government has to have an interest that this is a technologies that we need to explore. So that's the whole objective, and I hope that we are able to have a proper discussion. Afreen will be moderating this session, and I'm sure we have really good people who are there. As again I suggested, the focus is to identify two key areas, one from the government side, and from the industry side. I would suggest that if you may share one or two case studies with other states or other departments which have successfully helped in addressing the problem in solid waste. That will help us clearly define the next steps, and based on those success stories and the demand from the government on this side, we will be able to do a proper matchmaking and propose the next steps of implementation. So I think that's the whole crux of this, and without more taking more time, I'd hand it over to Afreen, who can then start inviting the things. Any questions or anything that you have, we will definitely address it post the program. We are all available. As I said, this is just the first step of the discussions, which we will take it forward to other different levels. So we want the discussions to be kept a bit crisp, just identifying the couple of points, and then Afreen, I think over to you, and you can take it up further from you with our first speaker.
Yes, thank you so much, Umesh, for that introduction. I'm the moderator for the session, Afreen Kadwai. I edit a news and information website on waste management in India. It's called www.solidwasteindia.com. And I've been covering the sector for the last 3 years. And I must say, this is kind of the best time to be in the waste business. There's so much going on thanks to SBM and SBM 2.0. There's so many new opportunities that are available in the market. And the purpose, as Umesh mentioned, of this roundtable is to foster synergies between all the major stakeholders in the waste sector. On one hand, you have the government, the civic officials who are dealing with so many issues in waste management. And then you have the private sector, which has so many innovations, so many technologies and services to provide. So we hope to provide that platform where everyone can engage in a meaningful discussion and come up with impactful solutions. I would like to highlight, as Umesh mentioned, we're going region specific. So this session focuses on the Western region. We'll have sessions on the North and South as well, because waste-related problems are very localized and we can't go at the city level at this stage, but definitely at the regional level, we hope to create a meaningful engagement. I would like to just suggest that everyone is very specific about their points that they have to make, and let's mute ourselves unless we're speaking, and just a general protocol that if you can stick to 5 minutes, 2 minutes to describe your company or whichever organization you are representing, and then the remaining 3 minutes on some case studies, some examples of work you are already doing, which might be useful to the ULBs and the authorities present here. So without wasting much time, I would like to invite Shri Sameer Unhale. He's the Mission Director of the Swachh Bharat Mission, Government of Maharashtra. Mr. Unhale, I'd like to begin by asking you, what, in your view, are the 3 biggest challenges in Maharashtra in waste management? And what do you think are the kind of technologies that will further help improve this?
Yeah, first of all, Afreenji, thank you very much for this opportunity. And I must congratulate the solid waste management team as well as the TTCWMA team to bring together various people from the corporate, from the government, and also from media for a consultation and discussion, which I think is very, very important. The opportunities with this sector has, I think, at a very fundamental level, at a very fundamental rethinking, would be that there is nothing called waste and everything is a resource. And how do we use a resource in different place, in different time for different person? So I think a very fundamental and very deep rethinking on what exactly waste is. Can we redefine it? And that, I believe, would lead to a very major changes in the way we are trying to handle the entire issue of solid resources within the urban systems, not only here in Maharashtra, but probably in India and also all over the world. That everything is a resource. It's only that you may not require it at this time, but someone else will require it. Someone else will require it at some other place and maybe at other time. And I think this shift, if we are able to implement, execute the very idea of sustainability, the idea of circularity into the way we are handling our urban solid resources, will be, I think, is a major challenge for us, for our generation, and for this decade. As to the existing patterns of handling is, waste is something that used to be wished out, to be forgotten, to be, not in my backyard, to be thrown somewhere else. Then you require a large number of, systems for handling it, and then the entire, the setup, the system, the process, the institutions, the behaviors, the entire ecosystem, actually a pyramid gets built upon that. So when we expect someone outside, from the outside the sector, I think there's a great opportunity of he breaking the idea. He can, rethink the sector very new, very differently, and come up with solutions which actually are out of box and very innovative. So I think this would be the first opportunity for the, I think, an important contribution which the solid waste management entrepreneurship, the climate entrepreneurship, the carbon entrepreneurship can bring on table for all the governments, that you can think in an entirely different way, entirely new way of handling, of, engaging yourself with this opportunity. So I think this was a more broader, maybe a bit of philosophical issues dealing with the very definitions of what exactly is waste, and that we ought to rethink what it is about. Secondly, I think, the scale in which people have to work. I think when the industry is coming up, we do interact with many interesting ideas. Many new startups are coming up. Young generation is, getting engaged with it. But I think the second challenge issue is the scale with which we are trying to engage with this problem, or with this challenge, this opportunity. We cannot be, minimalistic, or, very something to start very little, with very little impact, very little capital. I think we will, the one of the crux of this decade, I believe, is the speed and the scale. So whatever we are trying to do ought to have the speed and ought to have the scale to which we are trying to. And I think this is where we will really, welcome the industry and also the finance that comes with it. Of course, we are getting good news that, the Indian companies dealing with solid waste management are getting funded by really big names, international finance and asset management companies. So I think that's a good point, that India's solid, resource upcycling sector, the used water reuse sector, is getting attention even from international finance, and that's very good. And I think that needs to be capitalized by the industry, that we come up with ideas of scale. We are not going to be, this nitty-bitty things are not going to help. The issues in front of us are very big, and we require the scale, and therefore we require the imagination and the courage to come up with most, the highest possible commitments, skills and finances and technologies that we are trying to work for the issues relating with Swachh Bharat. And third, I think, is the skill sets and the manpower and the, the technology getting accepted within the users as well as the consumers is also an important third challenge, which I think this decade is going to offer to us. It's a very big opportunity for all the people working in this sector that the skill sets will have to be, improved and increased upon. But if you really look at the various ways of maybe what are the skill sets that we're looking at? Do we have engineering on solid waste management to look for that matter? Do we have a management courses? How are you going to handle the solid resources, the upcycling, the financing, the manpower issues, skill set? So this, I think, is a very important third opportunity of the entire skilling industry that we have in India, the certification industry that we have in India, to prepare a manpower which has the technical requisite, skill sets for them to, engage as professionals and not as, amateurs. We require professionals in this sector. The gravity of the situation is such, that the way we look for a neurosurgeon or a cardiac surgeon, those skill sets and those professionalism, similar, I think, skill sets and therefore compensation packages are also required for people who are going to work in this sector of solid resource upcycling. That's what I choose to call it, and the used water recycling sector of our country. And fourth, lastly, is anything that we do in India will have a global market, because the regional variations in India are so much that, you take a coastal state, you take a hilly state, you take a desert state, you take a whichever geographical variations that you find in the world, we have something similar to that in India. So anything that you're going to make successful in India, you ought to think globally. You ought to reconsider yourself as a global player. Don't stop at being working at one municipality or doing small thing here and there. You have to think of, giving the leadership that Indian corporate can and has given of the countries of Latin America, for countries of Africa, for countries of Central Asia, of South Asia, whichever. India has the potential of offering leadership intellectually, of offering leadership in entrepreneurship, of offering leadership and partnership, I think, and collaboration with these countries. So please think globally. There are at least more than 100 countries in the world which will be looking up to your skill sets, your knowledge, your professionalism, and your technology. So think globally. Don't stop at a very minor and small scale. So offering, these were the four of my thoughts I thought I should share, that this is a sector which is going to define the net zero drive towards what India is looking at, net zero concept of various cities. And we can achieve it much earlier. At least the cities can achieve it much earlier if we focus on solid waste, solid resource upcycling, and use water recycling phenomena along with mobility and energy. I think Indian states will achieve those net zero far more earlier than probably when we are considering the entire nation. So Afrin, thank you. I think I should stop here. I have used much more time than was allotted to me. So thanks a lot. I hope I could add value to our viewers on that. Thanks a lot.
Indeed. Thank you so much, sir. You did put a lot of perspective and very pertinent points raised by you, particularly what is relevant today, speed and scale. That's where technology comes in. And thankfully, there's so much going on in our sector, in the waste sector, particularly where innovation is concerned. So much technological innovation is happening. Also, I want to mention recently, I recall Mahua has also signed a MOU with IIM Indore for capacity building, for training and leadership training of civic officials. So that would also be relevant. I can see that change also happening to some extent, where educational courses, programs are now being introduced, but we need further thrust to make all this a reality and to really make this achievable, the mission of Clean India. So you mentioned cities. At the city level, what is going on? I would like to invite now Dr. Sangeeta Hasnale. She is the Deputy Municipal Commissioner of the MCGM. Are you here, Dr. Hasnale? I don't see her yet. So let's move on to Mr. Mitesh Shah. Mr. Shah is the Deputy Director of
DMC. We have Mr. Praful Jadhav.
Praful Jadhav. Okay, I'm sorry. I was informed that Dr. Hasnale would be here. Sorry about that, Mr. Jadhav. Thank you so much for being part of this session. And we would love to hear what the MCGM would have to say on the technologies that can help you at this point in time. What do you think you are looking for, and where can our various attendees help you with?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks the organization for this opportunity. Myself, Praful Jadhav, Executive Engineer in Solid Waste Management Department, MCGM. Now it is BMC, that is Brihanmumbai Municipal Corporations. As most of the participants may be aware, Mumbai is one of the largest metropolis in the country, and we generate about 6,200 to 6,500 metric tons of waste daily. It's quite a huge quantity, as you know. So now my focus points for today's discussion would be to reduce the burden or the load on the landfill sites. And then the second one is about the recycling of dry waste. And the third one is waste to energy. It's converting the waste, as the speaker, director sir spoke about. It is not waste, as we mentioned, it is resource. So I would like to start with the point on reducing the load on the landfill site. As everyone is aware, Mumbai municipality or any municipality in urban areas, land or space constraint is the most important scenario or the aspect for processing or managing the solid waste. In Mumbai, we expect that solid waste to go on increasing, and we have come up with a Vision 2030 document, which was published during July month, and it was published by the State Environment Minister, and wherein we have lined up our proposals or the directives or the targets which we wish to achieve at the end of 2030. So one of that target is to process the waste decentralized way. That is, and that there we wish that industry or private players to play very effective and major role, because as you know, processing the waste in decentralized manner requires expertise and sustainable, what you can say, sustainable financial models. Unfortunately, whatever MCGM has been doing in the past years is not yield any major results as far as sustainability and financial implication is concerned. So that part would be left to the industry participants. The major issue we are facing, the challenges, it is the development of infrastructure, and for developing infrastructure we need technical, financial and knowledge models. The other Mumbai city is facing is the lack of civic sense, because we may have different good innovative ideas, but unless the people who are residing in the city or the floating population, they have some civic sense or discipline regarding not throwing the waste here and there, because we are facing very major issues as the city is very congested and people throw their refuse or garbage in nalas, in roadside drains, on roads or footpaths, everywhere. And even if we try to do any good work, at the end we do not get the desired results. So we wish, or we want that industry or private players to come up with ideas regarding the BCC, that is behavioral change communication, or IEC activities, how to come up with the implementable solutions, so that we can control this menace of uncivic nature of the people. And then we should have some proper technology in biomethanation or converting wet waste into energy. We do have some decentralized or ward level initiatives, but they are not so successful as yet. Then recycling of the dry waste also we are working, because as most of us may be aware that MCGM is divided into 24 administrative wards, and we have started decentralized dry waste segregation centers and recycling and baling and some good MRF centers also. But again, unfortunately, I do not have a successful model to display over here. We would require the industry or private players to advise or guide us on these matters. And then third is waste to energy. Waste to energy, fortunately, we have come up with 600 metric ton per 600 metric ton per day disposal site in Devanar dumping ground in Mumbai, where we wish to convert 600 metric ton per day into electricity energy. And LOA has been issued to the private company, and that plant is under setup or under construction. It is likely to be ready by 2025. So that is the factors I have for today's meeting. So the meeting is, the points are there for the discussion, please. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Jadhav, for that very specific list that you gave. Successful model for biomethanization, technologies, financially viable, decentralized waste processing solutions. All these, I think, our attendees today will be able to share their case studies about how they have worked with other ULBs to implement such solutions. We would like to now invite Mr. Mitesh Shah. He's the Deputy Director of the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation. Mr. Shah, your municipality is doing so much in legacy waste clearance in particular, but are there any other areas that you're looking for technological solutions to services for that we can probably help identify with our various attendees today?
Good afternoon, madam. Myself, Mr. Mitesh Shah, Deputy Director, serving as a Deputy Director in the Smallest Department of the Municipal Corporation since last 33 years. Basically, I am the cost accountant. Just as far as in normal and the general way, just I will tell the one thing: in any business or any projects, some concept has a preeminent role, and I will focus on the concept of the lethal unit. The one expert, he has told the concept of the POSCOP. Just I think almost all knows. POSCOP means in any systems, either it is a solid waste department or any other department, it is totally based, and it has a key role. Means the planning, organizing, staffing, directing, reporting, and budgeting, and totally controlling system of any level as far as the all models and concept is concerned. Whenever just I am talking and I am telling about Ahmedabad city, just it is in area of the 479 square kilometers with the populations of the 73 lakhs. Moreover, the 27 lakhs populations is the floating populations. Solid waste management sanitation staff of the Municipal Corporation is more than 13,000, and the solid waste ton per day is 5,200 per day. As far as the vehicles used in the solid department, it is more than the 1,500. But nowadays, certain types of the challenges have come in the knowledge, and the most of the challenges, just you are told that the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation has acted the most important role in the bio-mining project, just as a piranha. And we have cleared the majority land. But the major problem is the concern with the RDF. It has a bigger issues as far as the inerts and the debris are concerned, that they can be used, and it can be used in a proper way. But in that way, the RDF has a major issues. Moreover, to accelerate the solid waste system, the 100% segregation is the must, 100%. And for that, the behavioral change. In the behavioral change, one approach of the carrot and stick approach. Carrot and stick approach means the reward and the punishment approach. Because only the accelerations of the behavioral change approach, their system will accelerate the whole system. Suppose who has done the excellent thing, just we have to go for the stick and done not good things, then it will be included in the carrot approach. So it has to be done in the proper way. Moreover, the techno-economical models and the problems of the unions are also have a greater role in the systems. To accelerate the system of the solid department, the reg pickers, one has to go for the reg pickers serialized in the format, and the IEC activity. Whenever just we are going for the IEC activity, whole system will be accelerated. Man, machines, materials, money, management, and at the time of the motive power and market, just it is also has the important and the completed role of this system. Moving towards the latest technology, just one has to go for this. As far as our city is concerned, the present five plants are working Excel, Bharuch environmental, Amber environmental, and NEPRA respectively in the wet waste and the dry waste. Future project of the AMCs are the Abel on the waste energy plant. It's the big plants, Ecovisions, NAFED, and the Bio-CNG, etc. So just my focus will be on the introduction. Just I will say only that the problem of the RDF, the major issues in the legacy is 100% segregation is concerned. Then it must be done, and for that the behavior, because whenever just we are not in position to change the behavior, then it has no effect, or the result will be we will not obtain the proper result for this. And we have to go for the minimizations of the working unions problem. This is the main thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that concise overview. IEC seems to be a major concern with a lot of ULBs, like Mr. Jadhav also mentioned. And there are a lot of companies that are doing some good work. Some of them are present here, and maybe they can also talk about it. Some knowledge partners also might have some case studies of how cities are tackling this issue. Moving forward, we have Sahil Kamath, environmental engineer from the Goa Waste Management Corporation. Can you please unmute yourself and just give us a brief overview of what Goa has been doing? You all are constantly in the news for your waste to energy projects, but what else is it that you are looking for in terms of technological support, service providers here who can probably provide some very practical, viable solutions? Mr. Kamath?
Yeah, he is online.
Is he here?
Yeah, he is here.
Okay, can you please unmute yourself, Mr. Kamath?
Hello.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I'm here. It's unmuted. I'll be able to put my video on. So I'll just talk. And if you all have any, if you all can't hear me, just interrupt me, and I shall
Please go ahead.
start over again. Okay. Yeah. So the thing is, I'm myself Sahil Kamath. I work as an engineer at Goa Waste Management Corporation, which is situated in Goa. So the major challenge which Goa has is the generation of waste. So the thing is like we generate around 800 tons of waste on a day-to-day basis, which is 100 tons daily. But the major challenge in Goa is during the peak seasons, which is from October, November, December, and January, because these are the touristic seasons in Goa. And when you consider these seasons, it's become
Mr. Kamath, there seems to be a connection issue. I think we need to get Mr. Kamath to log in once again. Should we, Radhika, can you please advise Umesh, what do we do? Do we move on to the next speaker, or what do we do
I
now?
think, yeah, let's proceed with he's there.
a major challenge in the state to tackle the amount of MSW which is coming in. Okay, so as you see the tourists influx, the beach, the amount of area which there are parties.
Radhika, I suggest you please call Mr. Kamath and tell him that we're not able to hear him. You may probably mute him, and we may mute. Once he's connected back, we can have him again.
Okay, sure.
Is held in Goa. It becomes
The next one, Mr. Kamath. Proceed with the next one, madam.
Okay. We'll try to get Mr. Kamath again. We'll move on to Mr. S.C. Kolur, the CGM Environment for Mahapreet. If we can all hear you, Mr. Can you hear us? Mr. Kolur? Mr. Kolur is from Mahapreet, the Mahatma Phule Renewable Energy and Infrastructure Technology Limited, and I cannot see him, Umesh, here right now.
One sec, let me check. I guess he's offline. He's got network disconnected.
So should we get in our sector experts at this point, Radhika and Umesh? I think we have Mr. Parlikar with us. He's the encyclopedia on waste management. Mr. Parlikar, you've heard our civic authorities here. You've heard our the public officials giving you their challenges, and I know that you are also in touch with the ground realities. What are some of the examples of good practices that you can share with them, some kind of connection, some joining the dots that we can do over here for Mr. Jadhav, for Mr. Shah, for all our participants here today?
Sure, Afrin, thank you so much for inviting. Yes, it's very interesting field in terms of ensuring that wastes are managed as resources, as Mr. Unare said. And I think that is the need of the hour. My name is Ulhas Parlikar. I retired as a director of ACC Cement. I had the pleasure of building the concept of co-processing in cement kilns, all kinds of waste. And I'm very happy that all the cement kilns are almost all currently utilizing RDF and other plastic waste and other waste in the cement kilns. After retirement, I am also associated with several, initiatives related to waste management. And I thought, let me share one incidents which I did recently, which will probably give some inputs to the municipalities, to the ULB authorities. I had the opportunity of working with GIZ on a project in Uttar Pradesh, where how do we really deal with the dump yards? Because the dump yard remedying technology is there, and in most of the places, wherever it is being done, I think technology is not a constraint. It is being done. The constraint is finance. Every time when we try to look at the option of implementing such a solution, the concern from ULB is always that where do I get funds from? So the question is, can we build a business model by having involvement of relevant stakeholders so that the load of the expenditure on the ULBs can be reduced? So that was the objective which Uttar Pradesh government had set to GIZ, and I had the opportunity of working on it on the field. And I thought I'll just share with you so that it'll add some value to the other ULBs also in taking forward initiatives at their end. You see, today the EPR, plastics EPR, is an instrument, is a policy where the brands or the PIBOs are required to fulfill their obligation of taking back or at least sustainably manage the packaging waste that they are putting into the environment, into the marketplace. They have to spend money for that, right? Because that is the obligation, right? That means there is some amount of money which can come into that particular, scenario where the packaging waste is there. Right. The second is the cement kilns or the waste to energy plants. Now both need energy, calorific value, so that they can utilize that as a resource and gainfully, benefit from it. So there are two stakeholders now. One is PIBO and second is the cement kiln. Both have something in the dump yard, and dump yard is one case which I have taken and I have demonstrated, but I'm saying even for the municipal solid waste, the same thing can hold good. So there are these two agencies who want to utilize that resource which is there in the dump. If we are able to quantify the packaging waste or the plastic waste or whatever is of interest under the EPR policy to these PIBOs, we can kind of ask them to bid for it. Suppose, if you have, like for example, Prayagraj has a dump site which has got approximately 1 million ton of dump site material. So, and when we did the analysis, we found that about 20% of plastics is there. So almost 2 lakh tons of plastics is there, which is of interest to PIBOs. Without doing any work, they will be able to, if they are able to sustainably send it for its management, then they don't have to do much work. It's easily available for them to do something. Cement kilns, they also want this material. So if they also bid for it, that material is available as a resource. And they have a clear understanding of the resource available, the energy security which is required for them, at what cost it is available. So it's a very, very kind of a positive sort of an environment for both the stakeholders to really participate in this particular venture. So a brief, a rough study, although the actual numbers are going to get worked out very soon by asking people to bid and form form some tripartite agreement with the ULBs, cement kiln and PIBOs or PROs. What we are saying is that a large chunk of money which is involved in remedying this particular dump yard will come into the scenario. And that will reduce the cost of remedying such dump yards substantially. The rough, it depends on how much transportation of the RDF that you have to do to the cement kiln. But in some cases, there could be a net revenue to the ULB, and in some cases, there'll be a small expenditure to the ULBs. So it's a model which possibly can be looked at, should be looked at by the authorities. And I'm saying that you can also extend it to the normal municipal solid waste which you are generating. Anyway, all the municipalities today are trying to have the source segregation as much as possible. You know, when the rule was not there of 2016, way back in 2011, when I had the opportunity of working on a town which was adjacent to our plant in near Coimbatore, a town called Madhukarai, we instituted a segregation process where source segregation was not happening, but a beautiful methodology of segregating the material into dry, wet, and domestic hazardous from one house to another. When the cart moves from one house to another, the segregation happens, and that goes for the treatment process. And there is zero landfill today in that place. Absolutely no landfills in 2011. So if we are able, and that's a business model. Earlier, we spend money from our CSR to support it. All the IEC, etc., that we talked about. Yes, we involved through our CSR. A lot of initiatives of bringing awareness of the students, of the communities, of the authorities, panchayat authorities, etc., was done. Even to the workers who are involved in doing this activity, and it really worked. So I think there are models which are possible. I think we need to work on that and build such models. I'm sure it will work. If there's any question, I can always answer that. But if there's more time, I can say a lot more things also. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Parlikar. Your perspective is very insightful indeed. And like you mentioned, we need new financial models, and EPR is one such tool. Cement manufacturers, there's so much scope. We just need to think out of the box, like Mr. Unhale had also said in his opening. We have now Mr. S.C. Kolur, who is the CGM of Mahapreet Environment Department. Could you please share your thoughts, Mr. Kolur?
I think he's again stepped out. You can invite Mr. Kamath.
Okay, Mr. Kamath?
Is there?
Mr. Kamath, can you hear us? Could you please unmute yourself? And last time it got disconnected when you were talking about the challenges facing the Goa Waste Corporation. Could you please elaborate on that now?
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, very clearly.
Yeah. Okay, great. So the thing is, I actually wanted to highlight on the challenges which GWMC as a government corporation is facing in the state of Goa. The thing is, most importantly, as I was saying, the Goa is generating a huge chunk of waste during the peak seasons, which is the tourist seasons in Goa, which is October, November, December, and January. These are the 4 seasons where almost the waste is doubled. The population is Goa, the floating population also doubles at that time, because that is the influx of tourists which come to Goa as compared to any other state as compared. Okay, so to tackle that, we have put 2 MSW facilities in Goa, which are catering to around 250 TPD each. One is in Saligaon, and one is in Kakora, which are like, one is in the north and one is in the south. So here we are running at full capacities, as in how the waste is incoming into the plant. Okay, so Goa is also in a process of building more such plants. One which will be in Bangini, one will be in Venna, but that is in pipeline. So as a government corporation, we have set up 2 facilities at the moment for MSW. Similarly, we are all talking about solid waste over here. Along with solid waste, I would just like to highlight that Goa has also hazardous waste, biomedical waste, and e-waste facilities which are already in place. So for hazardous waste, we are having a plant which is currently come up in the Pisulim IDC, which is using the sanitary landfill is only present at the moment. The treatment is what we need to cater to at the moment. The biomedical waste which is in Kunde, we are treating around another 100 APD of waste in biomedical facility. So all the waste, amputed parts, body parts, or the machinery, everything, it goes to the biomedical waste facility in Goa. So we have an indigenous facility in the state which can cater to the biomedical waste also. Also, the e-waste facility is coming up in Kolwale, which at the moment Goa state is collecting all the e-waste from different aggregators and recyclers. Okay, so the e-waste which is collected also is been treated in the state. So these are the things which we as a corporation have been doing in the state. Also, I would like to highlight on the capacity of our reach of our corporation. You can say that we are collecting dry waste from all the schools in Goa, which are 404 schools in Goa. We collect from 194 village panchayats, also 11 municipalities. We collect waste from all these things, and we are treating that waste. Now, what do I mean by treating is that we, as the previous speaker was saying, that the plastic has calorific value, and also it can be used in cement factories for co-incineration and cement kilns. So that's what exactly I would like to highlight, is that when we bale this particular waste, bale is nothing but we convert them into a cube-like structure using baling machines. So we tell the panchayats or the municipalities to bale the waste. So we handhold with them, we pick this waste up, we send it to the cement factory. So we call this an RDF. Now, what do you mean by RDF? Is refuse derived fuel, which has the plastic which has no absolute value, and it just has calorific value which can directly burnt in place of coal. So tomorrow, if 10 tons of coal is being used in cement kilns, we use around 6 tons of coal and 4 tons of plastic maybe. That's how we have been sustainable in managing this plastic. Of course, there will be some pollution, there will be some different kind of compounds which will be emitted out, but of course this is the solution which we are following towards at the moment. Then we have also done the legacy waste, which is being, as so the previous speaker said, that Prayagraj has millions and millions and dumps of waste. So even Goa had around 11 dumps of waste, which was not as huge as that. If any person must have come to Goa, the biggest dump site in Goa is called as Sansoda, the biggest dump site, which has around 2 lakh cubic meters of waste, and Sada, which had around 1 lakh cubic meter of waste. So at this, as this corporation, we have remediated all the dump. Biomining has happened already. The Sansoda dump is going to end by May 2023, and as you all can say, anytime you come to Goa, this waste has already been remediated. The waste has been filled in landfills, and the RDF has been sent to cement kilns for co-incineration. So these are just the few of the things, like we had challenges, how we overcome. Even the Saligaon plant, I would just like to highlight one last thing. Is it a Saligaon plant, which today I'm sitting right now over here, was a huge dump site, which had around 1.5 lakh cubic meter quantity of waste. We remediated the entire dump, and at the same dump site, wherever there was, we have set up a plant, which is again today treating 250 TPD of waste. Also, there were rag pickers who were staying on that plant with their dump which was there before here. So what we have done is we hired those same people in our plant who are helping us in segregating that waste. So that is how we have converted whatever available resource into the benefit of the public of Goa. So these are certain things. Also, Goa on a whole has played a huge role in the SBM open defecation free. So we have constructed around 17,000 IHL, which is individual household latrines, toilets in the entire state. So our office was the nodal agency for open defecation free, eradication of open defecation free, which was the Swachh Bharat mission for the last year in SBM1. So yeah, thank you. If any queries, any questions anyone has, I'm very much welcome for it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kamath, for telling us all that Goa has been doing to deal with its waste, not just solid waste, but other streams as well. One stream that is a big concern for every municipality is plastic waste, and giving us a perspective on that is Mr. Pankaj Shah. He's the chairman of the Indian Plastic Institute. Mr. Shah, if you can just give us your insights into plastic waste management and how ULBs are quickly coping with this. What are the kind of technologies they can tap, and what are your thoughts on this issue?
Yeah, so good afternoon, and Afrin, thanks for giving us the opportunity to give certain views on behalf of Indian Plastic Institute. Of course, we are related with the plastics, no doubt about it. But the basic point which I would like to stress upon is to have the collection centers. We don't have a collection centers, and where we need to have the support of the government bodies. Okay, unless and until you have the collection center at the source. If you see the model of Indo, and they also have the big dump yard where NEFRA is doing segregating the waste of many kinds. So the collection center at the source is the main concern. We at IPI can play the role of educating the citizens. One should approach with the help of all organizations like yours. We should approach to the societies will also, like if I residing in Mumbai, and if we talk about the problems which BMC is facing, the best way is to educate the people. Unless and until we educate the people, whether it is plastic, cement, or any kind of waste, okay, till such time we are unable to address the issues of the waste. Okay. So many technology can be available. We have in our organizations, there are many doctors, consultants, manufacturers who can help in setting up the waste segregation plant and everything. But here, I would like to request the government representative who are here to, support to have the centers, collection centers, and we should try upon the collecting the waste, educating and appoint the special contractor for them, and start collecting. Unless and until collection and the segregation is done to the fullest, nothing can be done. This is what we see. So I personally feel that let us come together. It's a high time that we are uh, organizing recycling seminars, conferences, and so on. Everybody is talking about solid waste and all. But now it's a high time that we should start working on the ground level to address the issues which are being faced today by the environment of the country. So this is what in nutshell, I would like to say. We are ready to help to any organization in terms of providing the technology. One of my colleague from plastic industry, Haran Sangviji is also related with plastic and environment committee. He is also going to talk about what he can help because he's in a very big manufacturing of recycled machinery. So we are there to support, and whichever way, in whatever form, we can give the guidance. I personally feel that we should create the team, address to the individual society, address and educate the citizen. I mean, particularly in Mumbai area, even if you see a guy eating the wafers and throwing the pouches of the wafer on the railway track, so unless and until the basic sense is created among the citizens, nothing can be done.
Absolutely.
I personally feel let's adopt the model of Indore and create the infrastructure like NEFRA, where I think so the big industries can definitely put in their money through their CSR fund. And I think it's not so, difficult to address and work on the solid waste management. This is in my view, in nutshell. We are ready to help anywhere with our organization because we are an educational body.
Yes.
We are not industry, but at the same time, we are ready to support.
Yeah.
And we would like to be the part of it. And all technical help, all technologies can be provided to any kind of machinery investment. All we can find the resources, and that can help to address the solid waste management. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. Very well said. We all need to work together. Solid waste management can't be done by one organization or one individual. Everyone needs to join hands together.
Yeah.
And that is why we want something concrete to come out of this.
I personally feel the basic education is to require for each and every individual citizen.
Yes,
It
yes.
can start with my own home. So
correct.
like this.
Yes,
So
and
this
that is a
how it
concern
should.
raised by so many municipalities who here also.
So I mean, this is all municipalities is facing the same issue.
Yeah.
So unless and until we create the sense of responsibility of throwing the garbage here and there, rather than and collection center is most important. That's
Yes.
what I personally think.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And I do hope that this platform can create some concrete solutions. We don't just want this to be another event where we all meet and go back home, but we want some meaningful engagement to come out of this, which is why we have very selected people here who can interact with each other and explain what services they have to offer. The ULBs can share their requirements. And I think that's the whole purpose of this.
I'm quite sure the industries will come forward to, support.
Yes, thank you so much.
I personally feel there are many industrialists who can support this.
Absolutely.
by creating the infrastructure for any kind of machinery they are looking for.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Shah.
Thank
We
you.
look forward to your support, and I'm sure that everyone present here will also approach you
Yeah,
directly.
because we are also working with ICC, International Council of Circular Economy. So,
Okay.
we can provide any kind of knowledge.
Great. Thank you so much. That
Thank
is
you,
very
sir.
essential component, knowledge management, data management,
Yeah.
PCC, all this very important components. Let's not underestimate that. We have Mr. Suresh Agrawat now from the Gujarat Pollution Control Board. Mr. Agrawat, if you can unmute yourself and give us a perspective on what are some of the specific challenges in terms of technology, service requirements that Gujarat is facing.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Myself, Dr. S.N. Agrawat, head SWM cell of GPCB Gandhinagar. Already, I think so many points has been discussed in detail. Some points I would like to share is mainly as a regulator. Number of ULBs in Gujarat is around 164. ULBs has obtained authorization is very less compared to the figure. Door-to-door collection is almost 100%. Solid waste generated is around 10,000 ton per day. Solid waste process is around 86 to 90%. Total legacy waste is around 260 lakh metric ton. From that, remediation part done is around 115 lakh metric ton. And right now, as per the data, remediation pending for the legacy waste is around 145 lakh metric ton per day. Apart from that 164 ULBs, particularly if I say or focus on Mahanagar Palika means Municipal Corporation, Surat, Jamnagar and Gandhinagar are doing very well compared to others. Some challenges or tasks which are actually creating some problem, or it must be resolved as early as possible. That one is mainly is a waste to energy. The waste to energy perspective, earlier it is already informed that waste is not a waste, it's a resource. And as if I consider as a chemistry fellow, so the waste is a resource and resource must be atomically managed, means atom energy. That is as per green chemistry principle, if I say atom economy. So that concept we have to go, that will lead us for our sustainable development as a human, good human being. In that area, so many points has been already discussed. Scientific approach is needed. Whatsoever procedure we are adopting for treatment part, that must be cost viable. The techniques or technology we are adopting, that must be robust. Awareness, including that some skilled manpower is needed. Some other professor or sir is there, they approach or indicated regarding the professional approach. In this area, there is no professional approach has been observed. So that's a major issue. The thing or the technology whatsoever adopted by the ULBs, that is not succeeded. Apart from that, I unable to share all the data and details on this platform. So that's my humble request to adopt some scientific approach, particularly for waste to energy part, particularly for landfill side. So many plastic and bylaws are framed, but it must be worked properly. That's the minimum and maximum rate. So that is enough from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Your perspective is very valuable. We do need scientific solutions. Waste management is a science. It's not just people management. And we need, scientists here who get involved. We need lots of technical support, which is what this platform is really here for. We have different service providers, technology providers, innovators who can share their experiences, what they have been doing with their technologies. Thank you so much, sir, for that. I would also now like to move on in this discussion. We've heard a lot from the government side. But I think we also need more perspective from the knowledge experts, from the industry partners, from the the technological representatives who can give us the other side of this whole waste management quagmire. We have Mr. Siddharth Shivkumar. He is from the Thane Creek Waste Management Association. Mr. Shivkumar, you're primarily an environmental monitoring agency. What do you want to share with us on this platform today in terms of coming up with concrete waste management solutions for the big challenges that we're all facing today in the sector?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. I am Siddharth. I represent Thane Creek Waste Management Association. We cater to the Thane Belapur industries as a TSDF, a hazardous waste disposal facility. So, the first thing that I'd like to kind of speak about is, yes, it's very satisfying that over a decade, the industry and the ecosystem in general has finally recognized waste as something that could be converted into a resource. But I think that is also acting against us in some way, because the minute we put the word resource against our waste, the owner of the waste, in most cases the industries or the urban local body upon whom the liability of disposing or managing that waste is, the minute we keep talking waste as if it is a ready-made resource, there is a problem in terms of commensurating the agency that is managing the waste properly. So I have also worked very closely with a solid waste management company, a leading solid waste management company out of Bombay. And I have, with my limited experience, personally seen various urban local bodies on their tender documents almost reducing the waste management tipping fee. It's almost like we'd want the maid that comes to our house to clean our home to pay us. It has almost reached that point today. So waste, even though could be considered as a resource, there is a cost to converting that resource into a clean resource. As a society, as a citizen, we are willing to pay 100 rupees a liter on fuel for driving our vehicles. But as a community, we don't seem to be eager to pay a proper cost to manage a resource, which is our waste, and which is what is disheartening. With the presence of technology, it all comes with a cost. So I think the first challenge is we have already accepted waste as a resource. The next challenge is, to move away from that adolescence into an adult society wherein we consider the cost to convert that waste into a resource. Yes, there is a cement kiln that is willing to convert that into an energy, but there is a cost to prepare. It's called pre-processing, right? There are a lot of pre-processing licenses being given out by the pollution control boards today. There is a cost to pre-process because a cement kiln is not going to accept a dump yard waste directly from a truck into their kiln. There is a cost to prepare that waste, and those costs have to be considered, and I think we have to address those points. I think one of the participants, the gentleman, Mr. Ullas Pardikar, has rightly pointed out that there are avenues available to manage waste, but channelizing that waste avenue requires an intermediary agency that can convert that waste as a resource to provide to that avenue in proper terms. That is all I have to offer as an opinion to the elite crowd out here, because a lot has been spoken as already. Waste is definitely a resource, but let's keep in mind the cost to convert that into a clean resource. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. That cost consciousness, that cost factor is a big issue in the waste sector, a very politically charged one, that too. So we will move on in this discussion. Thank you so much, sir, for your insights. We have Shri N.D. Mhatre. He's the Director General of ITAMMA, the Indian Textile Accessories and Machinery Manufacturers Association. Mr. Mhatre, if you can hear me, you represent the textile engineering industry. Textile waste is a growing concern for a lot of municipalities. Most of the textile waste ending up in landfills. What is your perspective on this entire issue? What do you think is the sector perspective on waste management?
Good afternoon, madam. And thank you very much for the organizers for inviting me to this webinar. In fact, I'm a Director General with ITAMMA. ITAMMA is the oldest and largest association of textile supply industry, that is machinery industry. And we have been doing a lot of activities for our members, whereby they can concentrate on the reduction of the waste. Now, main waste which has been seen here is a metallic waste, where they are manufacturing the components and machine, and that is recycled and that can be reused. But we have introduced a lean manufacturing program, especially, to take care of the process and the sequence of their manufacturing activities, whereby they were able to. This was definitely supported by Ministry of MSME, and it has benefited a lot to my members, as well as overall waste have been reduced. Then coming to the user industry, see, there are two types of textile industry. One is supply industry, where I am from, where manufacturing of machines and components take place. And another is user industry, where fiber, yarn and fabric manufacturing, apparel and garment takes place. The textile consumption is 0.79 kg per person, and textile consumption around the world is over 100 million tons, while the rate of recycling is only 13% of the total material input, where only 1% to produce new clothing. Then textile waste account for almost 5% of landfill spaces. However, the recycled post-consumer textile waste are barely 15% annually, and thus a huge 85% of waste ends up in landfill. Now we have to see the present trend of textile industry. The textile industry is diverted, or the trend is towards man-made fibers rather than from cotton fibers. The cotton industry is definitely producing a lot of waste, but it's a natural fiber. So most of the waste is being absorbed in the landfill, and it is not that much harmful. But the waste which is coming from man-made fibers like polyester, today polyester has around 51% of the total global fiber production, while cotton is coming down to 25%. If you see from 26 million tons to 50 million tons, the polyester has increased, while from 31 million tons to 32 million tons, only the cotton fiber has rise. So linear economy needs to be replaced now by circular economy. Circular economy is based on the principles of designing out waste and pollution, keeping products and materials in use, and regenerating natural system. Now, if you focus in textile industry, there are 4 important zones: spinning, weaving, wet processing, and garment. In spinning, if you see, the spinning and weaving industry is developing a hard waste, and the waste which is being developed is mainly from the raw material due to machine abrasion. It's the flying of fluff, then excess yarn, and that type of waste. But you will find wet waste, that is dyes and chemicals and water consumption is mainly in processing industry, which is hazardous. There are a lot of development which have been taken part in textile industry, like in spinning, recycling machines have come, tearing machines have come. So they are reusing this waste. In weaving, the plasma technology is come. Then knotter process has been replaced by splicer. Splicer has been replaced by welding technology. So these new technologies has come, whereby we were able to reduce the hard waste in the form of threads, fibers, or yarns rather. Now, if you see in oil lubrication activity also, you have seen there are a lot of development taken place, right from conventional lubrication to centralized lubrication, and then automated lubrication. So you will not find any waste of lubricant. Previously, conventional, you find the lubricant were used open oil holes, and they were wasted, and they were fallen on the ground, and a lot of waste has been. Then they got embedded in the cotton fluff, which is flying here and there. Again, you will find the compressors is been replaced by suction, the suction air. So these types of technologies have already been taken place. Now I am having two important points to convey today. One is, see, if you see the waste, many people have said waste has to be seen as a resources. Of course, if you see the human body also, it creates a waste. But these waste, there are two types of waste. One waste has to be destroyed, and another waste can be used as a recycled one. Now, human body waste, we always see that urine and excreta has to be destroyed. But when we consider a person going to the doctor, and doctor is giving him a prescription to go to the pathological lab and get these things tested, so that he can evaluate what is going on inside the person. So we should see to the waste from this angle also. Even in case of machinery waste also, or the waste which is there in textile industry, if certain amount of waste is coming out of the machines, we should evaluate this waste so that the machine performance can be evaluated. We should convey this concept to the industry that we can evaluate the performance of the machine from the quantity of waste, the type of the weight, and a special audit can be converted. And this can be, supported by the government. And then we can go in the industry, convey them, so automatically the waste will be reduced. Where to reduce, how to reduce, there are many consultants who are doing this audit. This is the one process. Second, the government can connect the other government. Like textile industry can be connected with handicraft industry, handicraft. The waste is always been used by handicraft industry. We see a lot of toys coming out. So what is that? The waste of cotton. We see many types of threads which have been wasted are used by handicraft industry. So if government is able to connect these two industry, nothing like that, we should form a cluster. So this waste can be used by that industry as a resource on the one platform. So the logistic, everything will be reduced and come down. So these are the 2-3 points which at present, because only 5 minutes have been offered, there is a lot to say, but I will curtail my suggestion here only. And once again, I thank you, and thank you very much. Only I would like to convey one message. Don't say we want to go green. Say that we want to grow green. Then automatically we will grow green. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that perspective. We need to really rethink, rewire our brains to think differently. And everything that you've said here requires a shift in the patterns of thinking, in the patterns of design, everything. So I do hope that as the new generation comes up, they will also kind of take this forward. That's the whole point here, right? To sustainably develop.
One more thing, can I add? I'm sorry.
Sure.
If you take the cow dung, it's also waste, but it has been utilized for the health problem.
Correct.
So we have to see from that angle.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that. I think we've had a wonderful round of opinions from thought leaders, from public sector leaders. Now it's the turn of the technology representatives from private companies. You heard the people here voice their challenges, voice their concerns. I would like you now, the private participants here, to share their information on what they can do to address these numerous challenges that were raised on this platform. And I would just like to remind you to stick to the time limit of 5 minutes, 2 minutes to probably describe what your company does and what kind of services and technologies you provide. And then maybe after that, you can spend about 3 to 4 minutes going into detail about successful examples where you've implemented your offering and successful case studies that might be of use to the ULBs and other government officials present here. So I would like to first invite from Shakti Plastic Industries, Yatharth Bhardwaj. He's Senior Manager there. Mr. Bhardwaj, over to you. Shakti Plastics has done a lot of work in the plastic waste management sector. If you can just give us an overview.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So this is Yatharth Bhardwaj from Shakti Plastics. I am looking after the government affairs years and EPR management, and of course the plant management, etc. So just a little just about my company. Like we have been doing the good work in the field of plastic recycling for the last 5 decades, and presently we are one of the largest EPR service provider to all the peoples, all the concerned peoples. So going with the theme, the thing is that I would like to address this thing by shortening the question. The larger question is the solid waste, huge heaps, mountains and all, right? So this is how I used to do my maths solutions. I used to break it down. So the question is first that from where does this waste come? And from where does, and what is the composition of solid waste? So eventually, and it's very obvious that waste is coming from our houses, and then the composition, it is very evident from a lot of studies that it's almost 50% is organic waste and remaining is plastic, metal, e-waste, etc. So in my close working with Indore municipal corporation, this is what I was surprised, and I learned this, that community mobilization is the key. What I mean by that is that educating the people at the ground, the wards, that is more important. And that's important, agreed. But what about the responsibilities of the municipalities in terms of, in many cities you have seen the municipal vehicles which are going, they have just these two compartments, the wet waste and dry waste, and in some cases there are three. But then what I'm trying to say here is that it should have at least 6 compartments. First, it should have like for plastic waste, dry plastic waste, and then it should have for e-waste, hazardous waste, and in hazardous waste, domestic hazardous waste like CFL, tube lights, etc. And then it should have for sanitary waste, and then organic waste, wet and dry waste. By doing that, we are actually getting a vehicle full with a segregated load of waste. Problem arises when this does not happen and the same gets dumped into the landfill, and then the worker has to, then the rack pickers or the safai sathis has to manually do it. If we can do it from the very beginning itself, then there would not be an issue. So landfill composition, going back to that, 50% is organic. Biomethanation has been a proven technology and has been something which every city and ward should do. The mobile units are available. You don't need to establish that huge infrastructure, especially like Indore, but mobile units are very available. There are technologies, so that can be done. And then we are talking about the other things, the metals, the e-waste, the plastic waste, etc., the glass waste, that can be, channelized to the concerned recyclers, etc. Like in my case, I am taking care of the plastic waste. I am taking all loads of plastic waste from the municipalities, from local scrap dealers, from NGOs, everywhere, from wherever I can do. So there are two types of plastics, high value and the low values. I saw the problem that low value is not being collected there. So we understood that there is a problem. We need to do it. So the multi-layered plastic, the Lays and Kurkuras chips, the metallized, the shiny layers. So these became a problem because the Safai Sathis are not picking them up. So we used to incentivize them. Then we used to encourage them. A lot of things used to go happen, and then we used to do that. But now what? Now that we have collected, what should we do? What should, the old conventional way of just sending them to the waste to energy and the co-processing plant, cement co-processing, that's not what we thought that's the way to deal, because our tagline is like waste to value. So how do I add value to that? By making it useful again. This is what I thought of doing. This is what the company thought of doing. And so we created this process, we created this in-house R&D and things, wherein what we did is that we are now making products, the post-consumer granules, tiles, the benches, etc. We are making such products, and we are sending them across to our, the clients, the customers, the B2B partners, or to the government organizations as well. Recently, we have also proposed this to the Central Pollution Control Board as well, that install these benches or the tiles in their office vicinity or in their parks or the parking lots. So this is how we are working on it, by developing a model wherein, it is not just being sent for the incineration, but bringing it value by making some products. So in that, there is this one thing that first we need to get rid of that stigma of reusing things, stigma of this recycled products, and thinking that they can be harmful in nature or they cannot match the same properties. So there is this all gap in understanding which needs to be clear. So on this platform, I want to encourage everyone present out there and the government officials to just see the products, see the tiles, and at least I can give it, use them in the parking lots and all, so that it can set a good example. We should lead by example, by not just just community mobilization. That's how it's gonna happen. So this is pretty much what is there from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bharadwaj. Having seen the product at IFAT recently, I must say it was the benches and all were really good. It was a good product, and I do hope there's an update for it. Moving on, we have Mr. BK Soni. He's the CMD of EcoReco, India's oldest e-waste management company. Mr. Soni, look forward to hearing your insights on e-waste management and how EcoReco can step in and collaborate with governments to improve the e-waste management conundrum we find ourselves in today.
Thank you, Afrin. Thank you for this opportunity. Okay, and I would like to start with by saying that, okay, we are working in this e-waste management industry for almost 2 decades now as the India's very first recycling company in e-waste management. And we have introduced lots of solutions to offer and to provide to the industry to really get it recycled in a proper manner, the e-waste, whatever generated. The challenges are that we are more concerned with the monetary value of the waste versus the environmental impact of the same. So there is a need that it's not only the awareness to be developed, but awareness come action has to be developed, that we have to really act upon rather than only talking about the problem. And every individual knows about the problem relating to every kind of waste. But the challenge is nobody wants to take an action. And that is what exactly some speaker had talked about, the behavioral change and all. Here, I would like to submit to the individuals and the small businesses and all, that they should not get attached to the value in monetary terms with their whatever waste they are generating, versus they should look at the environmental benefits, what they can derive out of this. Because we are spending a lot of money on medical expenses, just because of the informal way of handling such kind of hazardous waste, which we directly don't feel, but it is really happening because it is spoiling the environment, air quality, water quality, and soil quality. So we are inhaling and drinking and eating those kind of food which are poisonous. So we should really give focus to the environmental aspect rather than the monetary aspect of the same. Secondly, I'm not against the informal workers. I'm against the informal way of handling the things. To change that, we have introduced 2 things. One is a skill development program along with the National Skill Development Corporation. And this project we have undertaken almost 6 years before to train to more than 300,000 kabadis across nation. But unfortunately, this project could not take off because much of inclination is not there of the ULBs and the municipal corporation, who should really come forward to see that all the waste workers are properly trained on 3 major aspects: health, safety, and environment. We don't want to teach them on the domain expertise. They are really, really very good at their end in terms of the collection to the dismantling and all. They are well versed with that. The missing elements are health, safety, and environment, which is needed to be inculcated into them. And thereafter, we have also provided another thing, that we have introduced a recycling on wheels facility, which goes to every nook and corner, can easily, safely can be driven down. And the e-waste given by the individual society or businesses can be shredded on the spot. So the person who is giving, he knows what is really going to happen with this waste. It's not going to be reused until it is reusable, until it is given for the reuse purpose. But otherwise, we are just shredding on the spot, including data devices, for the simple reason that the mobile phone and the hard disk and all contain a lot of confidential and personal information which should not be misused. So this particular recycling on wheels facility which we have introduced is really working very well, and is instead of setting up a dismantling unit and collection points, This particular facility, which is having a shredder mounted on a truck, can be deployed at every nook and corner, every place, every city, number of vehicles. Particularly the smart cities can immediately opt for this kind of solution. So they need not to set up the collection center, but the on-the-spot collection, shredding, and transporting it to the recycling facility. That reduces the burden of setting up the number of collection points. Okay, this is I would like to submit. Thirdly, about in case of the bulk consumers, the large corporate and all, they certainly are aware about the regulation and all, but unfortunately is not being followed substantially. Merely about 7-8% of the e-waste is getting recycled in our country. And that too, mainly coming 90% of that is coming primarily from the corporate sector. So why the out of 2/3 of the e-waste which is generated by the corporate sector, why only 7% is getting recycled and where 60% is going? So they have to really act very, honestly about following the regulation, and strict implementation of the rule is very essential to transform this sector. That's all from my end. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Soni. E-waste collection remains a weak link here. Very few municipalities even collect e-waste. Some have started now, but that is also something. E-waste collection becomes a very big challenge, and your company is doing that. So kudos to that. Moving on, we have Mr. Prashant Chandra, Country Commercial Manager for Sorbacal India. Mr. Chandra, if you can hear me, your company provides sorbents for flue gas treatment, and you're doing some good work in Europe and the US. Could you please share some of your projects in India? What are the collaborations you're looking forward to in India?
Yeah, thank you, Afrin, for giving me an opportunity to speak in your platform. So everybody, I have heard of everybody, they are talking about how to handle the waste, and actually when you recycle the waste, there are some pollutants which are generated. So once you burn the waste, then some pollutant gases are emitted in the atmosphere. So again, you are doing some activities to destroy the waste. On the other hand, you are producing some other pollutants and you are emitting in the atmosphere. So we are into that part where we can reduce these pollutant gases with a kind of sorbent which we do in Europe and US. We are already there, and in Asia we are in Singapore, and we in Korea, and even now we are gradually putting our steps in India as well. So we are basically supplying sorbent known as Sorbacol, which we are patented, and we supply it into the glass industries and to thermal power plants who generate SO2 in the atmosphere. So SO2 is a pollutant gas. So now we are moving on to waste to energy plants, basically. So, and we have recently done a trial with the Abalone group in Gujarat. Once you are producing electricity from this waste, so mainly three pollutant gases are emitted out in the atmosphere. That is the hydrogen chloride, basically. Once you burn plastics, mainly the hydrogen chloride gas comes out. Then hydrogen fluoride, and of course some part of SO2 also comes out. So which are being absorbed by this particular sorbent, which is a hydrated lime. It is a lime base. It is a high surface area hydrated lime which we are supplying. So though we are not directly involved into this waste to energy, means waste management, but indirectly we support these waste to energy plants to reduce the pollutants, and of course the government is so strict now, and they have given some limitations, means this much of SO2 you can emit in the atmosphere. So to assist them indirectly, we are supporting these waste to energy plants in various parts of India. So we are looking forward to spread our this thing towards other ends also. We have started with Abalone. We are speaking with Jindal Ecopolis in Vizag and Vijayawada. They are having 2 plants. So a lot of plants are coming up, waste to energy, and they are eyeing on this hydrated lime. And hydrated lime, of course, is available in India as well, but the high surface area which we are providing, it is a patented product, and it is highly effective. So, and by that we can reduce the waste further, because once you absorb, there is a means residue which is coming out, which is again a waste. So the minimum what we do, the minimum injection, and the residue also is reduced. So this way further we can add up in reduction of the waste. That is the way we are helping out. And for that we are collaborating with some DSI system operators, those who are providing this dry sorbent injection systems. So those, we are not providing the systems, we are providing only the sorbent, but there are some suppliers who are providing this DSI, which is a mandatory requirement in waste to energy plants nowadays.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the way we are helping out. To cut it short, further we will again have further discussions, but since it is almost 3:30, I'll make it short. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chandra. Thank you so much, Chandra, sir. Moving on, we have Mr. Harin Sangvi. He's the director of GMS Plastic Machinery Private Limited. It's a plastics recycling company. Mr. Sangvi, welcome. You work a lot to manage plastic waste and provide such technologies to private companies as well. Could you please share some impact-related case studies? What would you like to share on this platform?
Yeah, let me introduce myself a little bit. I am director of GMS Plastic Machinery. We manufacture recycling machines. I am also part of the committee of Plast India Foundation and All India Plastic Manufacturers Association. I have been on the MOEF committee during the 2016 notification wherein EPR was implemented and made compulsory. As far as new technologies or developments are concerned, there are a lot of things going on, like demetallizing of plastics, deprinting of plastics. A lot of developments are going on in this field. But when it comes to recycling, we actually, myself, Mr. Samir Joshi, we had attended a conference in Japan, which was actually a training conference, and there were a few things which came out of that conference, which I would like to actually propose here. Most important of that is most countries concentrate more on plastics to fuel then mechanical recycling, though Japan was one of the largest mechanical recycling unit. There were, in fact, in that conference, 6 countries in which Japan, Indonesia, India, China, Vietnam, and Thailand. And all of them were very much stressed on plastics to fuel as compared to mechanical recycling, which India and Japan were promoting a lot. The second most important thing which we found was Japan encourages a lot of micro and small entrepreneurs for waste management. The third thing which came to us was formalizing of waste pickers and the waste collectors. Then there was the 5-bin culture, which is of course quite popular even in Europe. There are a lot of stringent littering laws in Japan and a lot of European countries, which also came to the fore because most of the countries like India, China were talking about littering, Thailand were talking about littering, and to curtail the littering, Japan actually is proposing to make the laws even more stringent, maybe add fines to the law. So that is what because I heard someone asking for the littering laws. So this is something which needs to be concentrated on. Many countries have implemented EPR, though India has in fact done a lot more work than any other country in this group. There was the waste banks in Indonesia, which was a good idea for waste collection for a value. So there is a bank where you deposit the waste and take your value. So the value is a price list which is already displayed on the sign. So that also is something which we learned. In fact, we never heard anything about compostable or biodegradable plastics anywhere in this conference, neither replacing plastics or banning plastics. In fact, India was the only country which has banned single-use plastics. But we heard from the other countries that instead of banning, there should be life cycle analysis, environment impact analysis of plastics and its alternative, cost impact analysis for plastic and its alternative. So these are some things which would actually give an idea why plastics are better. Most of people were talking about India and its effluent treatment plants, which are totally inefficient. So those are things which need to be concentrated on. There were environmental studies, especially education programs are being taken care of in Japan, which is a good idea to strengthen the younger generation, which would take the country forward. Then there are digital technologies which cover the waste management sector completely. And that digital technology is open to all so that even the local people can see what sort of waste management is being done in urban and rural areas and how to support it. We actually missed the legacy waste treatment, processing and recycling. In fact, they took us around to see their recycling facilities, which was something very great. And they were huge recycling facilities, which we have never seen anywhere in India, though there is a very good MSME sector in India. We need to think about large recycling facilities to handle the amount, quantum of waste that comes out on a daily basis. We were talking of inter-country exchange of training programs, which would help each other to carry out the technology exchange. Linking with all organizations in this conference was the core. So this is where I would stop. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much for that insight. I do believe we have a lot to learn from so many other countries and their experiences that will definitely help us, experiences that you probably saw firsthand in Japan. Thank you so much, sir, for that. We now have Mr. Srinivas Kasula. He is the director of Arca Brenstek Private Limited. It's a Gurugram-based company that provides services in the biogas sector. Mr. Kasula, could you please tell us about some of your successful projects?
Yes. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I would like to introduce myself and we'll have a small 2-3 minutes PPT. So I'm an internationally renowned technocrat in the field of biogas and working professional and very active individual in promoting biogas at various levels in India, right from small scale, medium scale, large scale. I've got over 21 years of experience in the biogas industry, leading to several milestone projects to my credit. And my vast knowledge has been continuously assisting investors, government entities in selecting the right technology and preparing the due diligence, feasibility studies, etc. And I must have done something right, because of which I have received many awards and many award winner, few publications. Companies in, and each of these companies have either installed many of the plants, and overall, to my credit, there must be more than
I'm unable to hear Mr. Kasula. Can someone else?
I'm just checking with him.
Yeah. Is it just me or is it others also?
No, no,
yeah, which can increase and optimize the productivity and profitability of a biogas plant, require a special attention and to showcase the social environmental impact and in the applied manner. I'm also advocacy or doing advocacy in the environmental field to ensure that bioenergy becomes an option and a necessity for India's dream of a clean and green nation. So just would like to share a small presentation. Is my screen visible now?
Can't see it yet.
Yeah, I think you have to enable it. It was disabled by the host. So,
Radhika, could you please do the needful? Mr. Kusula, if you can just keep it short and precise, like probably 3:45, we're exceeding our time.
Yes, or else I can explain you as well. I thought that I will just show the photographs.
Okay.
But,
sure, please go ahead. Continue. We'll play it if it.
Yeah, it's like, you know, change is happening, and India is strengthening its link between renewable energy and agriculture. And this particular line, I like it very well, and I repeat in every of my lecture or conference that, you know, change is happening and India is strengthening its link between agriculture and renewable energy. And this is very essential to create a healthier, cleaner environment and a resilient, efficient, and sustainable farming sector. And to start with, you know, when we are talking about solid waste management, yes, I have started from Mumbai in the year 99-2000 when I was installing biogas plants from designed or invented by technology by Dr. Kale from BRC. Started from there and installed many large scale as well as small scale biogas plants. And presently, I represent Arka Brainstack Private Limited. Arka Brainstack. When I say, everybody asks me the same question: what does Brainstack stands for? So BRENS, which stands for Biogas, Renewable Energy and Sustainable Technologies. At the same time, we are brain behind many biogas companies. There are close to 4 biogas companies who are regularly getting consultancy services from us, who though have very good contacts and can get the projects, but some of the other, they couldn't design the projects efficiently or in the right way. So we do help them to design and install and operate and maintain the biogas plants as well. So can I share it, or I'm not able to share? So this is also based on when we are talking about solid waste. Yes, not only solid waste, but there are different types of waste, which are animal manure, industrial waste, food processing waste, and these are the particular large chunks of waste which are available in a segregated form. And you can say, you know, we call them as a VIP waste generators, where bulk waste is available at a single source or single point, and these can be treated right away at the same point of generation. So industrial waste like press mud, or animal waste like cow dung, chicken manure, or any type of animal manure. And based on this, we have installed quite a number of plants across the country. We have a German collaboration with a German company who installs projects, and they have installed close to 170 biogas plants in a span of 10 years, which is a really recommendable job, you can say. And they are the several award winners. Similarly, we have a joint venture with an equipment company. Again, they are a German company, and collectively we are now installing a plant in India based on. And if you see present, Arka Brainstack is installing almost 4 projects based on different feedstocks, and the size ranges between 150 to 200 tons per day of organic waste, which is either press mud, sugar industry waste, or chicken litter and cow manure. And another waste is napier grass, which has been particularly grown to generate energy or biogas out of it. Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kasula, for sharing your work with us. In the interest of time, we are moving on to our next speaker, Mr. Sumedh Bapat. He's the business head of Centralized Waste Solutions at Blue Planet Environmental Solutions. Mr. Bapat, thank you for joining us. You have your finger in many pies in the waste sector, biogas, legacy waste management. You're into policy framework drafting as well. So what would you like to convey to our audience here regarding Blue Planet? Could you please unmute yourself?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sumedh Bapat here. I represent a company called Blue Planet Environment Solutions. We are a Singapore-based company. I head the entire solid waste and centralized waste division in Blue Planet. Blue Planet is a pan-Asian company driving regional sustainability growth through technology-driven and IP-based end-to-end solutions for waste management and upcycling. We have created an integrated ecosystem through which we have acquired several other leading players in and around the globe, around 12 technologies and 12 companies under our belt. We are the largest waste biomining company in India. By the name of Sigma, where we process a lot of waste. I happen to have be heading several divisions in Blue Planet. We have processed already around 70 lakh tons or 7 million tons of waste till date, and have a processing capacity of 17,000 tons per day. We are present in 5 countries and 12,000 plus employee strength. Our aim is to provide an end-to-end solution to this industry because we have seen that there is no one who can provide the end-to-end solution right from waste pickup to waste processing. We have plastic to fuel technology, we have a biomining facility, and we have fresh waste treatment facility as well. We are a strong technical team with a lot of experts from the globe. We are funded by SBI and NSWAI funds, and also are engaged with Niti Aayog for policy level interventions. I am also a panel member for biogas plant standards, making biogas plant standards in India by Bureau of Indian Standards. And we have a state-of-art technology-driven collection, segregation, and processing of waste. One of the main crux of problems of solid waste is, irrespective of the education and the implementation of rules, the waste isn't as segregated as it was supposed to be in these times. And that is where we intervene and we say, it's okay. Whatever comes, we can accept the mixed waste, we segregate it with completely automated solutions, and we process it. We are setting up 2 projects of very large scale, 200 tons, 2 projects, and a 50-ton project, where very soon they'll be commissioned. One of them is getting commissioned next month in Greater Noida, where we'll be demonstrating the entire mixed waste acceptance to segregation to processing to filling the CBG generated into vehicles. In my past, since this is related to Western Maharashtra, in my past earlier company, I was a technical director, where we set up 300 tons facility in Pune. We used to if the project is still running, we accept the city waste in segregated form. We process it and we generate around 6,000 to 7,000 kilos of CBG every day. This has been going on for last 2.5 years. We have successfully replaced the diesel out of a company, an industry, which was a forging industry. We are running 35 buses in Pune Municipal Corporation on the CBG that is generated. And we are also selling, filling around 710 vehicles with CBG that is generated. This is through my earlier company. The model which I wanted to present, since so many stakeholders are present at this particular conference, is if you have a landfill, and the major problem, as highlighted by Mr. Jadhav from BMC, was the availability of land for such processing of plants. So we through our own group, we segregate the waste, we do biomining, we clear the land under it, and at the same land, we set up our own facilities to treat the fresh waste, to make sure that the landfill doesn't get created again. This is a technology intervention that we are trying to do. We are trying to implement across the country. And we have got several strong inquiries from India and Southeast Asia. We are present significantly in Vietnam. We are doing projects in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that overview. Blue Planet is doing remarkable work across the country and lots of good acquisitions also there. So wishing you all the very best. We are in the interest of time. I will quickly move on to our next speaker, Mr. Sachin Patra. He is the DGM of Enking International. Mr. Patra, are you here?
Hi, yeah, I'm in. Good afternoon.
Hi. Okay. So could you please tell us about your work?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. EKI Energy Services Limited, the brand name of our company is Enking. And we have been in the market of carbon offset since last 12 years. We started in 2008. So it's been 13, 14 years now, actually. EKI is the largest carbon offset management company in India with approximately 85 to 90% of domestic market share. And in the whole world, in the voluntary carbon market, we are one of the top 5 companies dealing with carbon offsets. And I'm here representing the vertical which deals with the origination of carbon offsets from waste management projects. So I lead a team which specifically tries to identify waste management projects which can be eligible for carbon offsets, as various kind of waste management activities results in GHG emission reduction, particularly CO2 and CH4 emission reductions, right? So our company helps these companies starting from the registration of the project with one of the international carbon offset standards like CDM, Clean Development Mechanism, VCS, Gold Standard, GCC. These are the few names that people who have already dealt with carbon offsets may have heard. Otherwise, if I could give a brief background, so all of this started from Kyoto Protocol, which was signed in 1997. And to operationalize that, CDM was introduced, Clean Development Mechanism, which is a body under UNFCCC itself. And now when we all have been hearing about Paris Agreement and the 1.5 degrees Celsius target, so to operationalize that or to achieve that as well, there is a new carbon trading mechanism that's going to come into picture, which will succeed basically the CDM and the erstwhile carbon market. So our company is active in that domain, and we have more than 300 people working specifically in this carbon offset market. We are present across more than 14 countries, and we are also a listed company in India and one of the few listed companies in this domain. And talking about some of our success stories in case of waste management projects. So the first success story that we had was with a government client, that was Indore Smart City Corporation. And we have registered their project from 2017, and from 2017 till 2020 they have got their carbon credits for those 3 years, and by selling those credits they have generated a revenue of approximately 8 to 9 crores. And similarly, we are doing such activities for Chennai, Tirupati, Varanasi, South Delhi Municipal Corporation, various others. So that's for municipal corporations, and we are also trying to work with many private organizations who are mainly under biogas projects or various other kind of waste management projects like composting or bioremediation. And in case of SATAT, we have a lot of projects which are going to provide their CBG under the SATAT program, and as the CBG is going to replace natural gas or natural gas, that is CNG.
Yeah.
So that
sure. Looks like there was a connection.
So that way, trying to help various kind of companies who are in the waste management sector. So this was about organic waste. So after other than that, even if they are working on plastic waste or e-waste, they would be also eligible for carbon credits and something called plastic credit, which is kind of an international version of the EPR credits that we have in India itself. Right. So our company is working on all of those and these incentives in the form of carbon offsets or plastic credits to various companies who are helping keep our environment clean and also at the same time helping us reduce emissions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Patra. We now have Mr. Shailesh Shinde. He's the Director of Social Lab Environmental Solutions Private Limited. Mr. Shinde, welcome. You're already working with a few ULBs and you provide consultancy services on waste management. You could share some case studies with us. That would be great.
Yeah, I'll do that. So I'll just first quickly give an introduction. As you rightly pointed out, we work with ULBs, but we are a waste management company. We are basically a startup. We are working since last 4 years. And when we observe our main work in the last 4 years, we say that we are mostly working towards improving the solid waste management system in smaller towns, not in bigger towns. Our work primarily focuses on two verticals. First is the solid waste management consulting that we do with ULBs. And the second is plastic waste management consulting. So when we say solid waste management consulting with ULBs, I'll explain with the example of a case study. For example, there is a city called Baramati in Maharashtra. So 2 to 3 weeks before, there was the Swacch Survekshan ranking. And Baramati city received the rank of 9 this year. Earlier it was 320. So we were working with Baramati city since last 8 months. Since February, we are working with that. And this is the impact of our work. So what we do basically here is we focus on 4 different criteria. That is, first is collection of waste from each and every household. We ensure that we collect the waste from 100% households. While we are collecting this waste, we provide the IEC activities, do the on-ground activities, and ensure that the citizens who are giving the waste, they are also segregating it. They are segregating it into wet and dry waste. And because of this, most of the things, as mentioned by other people like Yatharth or Mr. Ullas Palvikar, these things get taken care of. We do this by training the municipal staff, that is the sanitation staff. We provide their NSDC training. And through this, we also ensure that whatever the waste that is generated in those ULBs gets processed. If it is wet waste, we consult them in setting up composting plants. If it is dry waste, we ensure that we fulfill the EPR requirements of our own clients by collecting the waste from these ULBs. So this part is basically related to solid waste management consulting that we do with ULBs. In the last 4.5 years, we have worked around with 15 different ULBs, and all of those ULBs have consistently shown improvement in their segregation levels. Within 5 to 6 months, we are able to ensure that the segregation levels at each and every ULB are more than 80%. So this is about our work in solid waste management. As far as plastic waste management is concerned, we basically provide EPR consultancy to most of the brands and producers. As Mr. Ullas Palvikar was talking about, there needs to be a connect between the cement factories and the ULBs and the brands. We act as the agency which generates awareness among these ULBs and the brands and ensure that we collect the waste for sending it to the cement factory. Apart from acting as an enabler for EPR, we also do recycling. Because of our EPR work in the last 4.5 years, we have set up a network across 12 different states where we are working with 70 plus ULBs. And because we are working with these ULBs, we get access to a lot of waste. And through our recycling plants, right now we are focusing on the flexible packaging waste, which is hard to collect. The carry bags and the polythenes, which normally don't get collected. So we are focusing on that and we are trying to recycle it at our units located in Malegaon and Nagpur. So that was a brief from our side. I'll be happy to answer questions there. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Shinde, for that insight and the fabulous work you are doing. We finally have Mr. Akshay Deshpande. He's the co-founder of Switch Eco. It's a B2B marketplace for sustainable packaging. But telling us more about his organization, Mr. Deshpande, the floor is yours.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'll just wrap it up. I think we are already in the interest of time. Switch Eco is India's first B2B marketplace for sustainable products. Everyone is talking about, as Mr. Hiren Sanghvi has already told, that India is the only country which was talking about the biodegradable plastics and all, but most of the countries aren't following that. So we provide sustainable solutions to the bulk waste generators and all, in terms of providing channelizing and helping them with recyclable or sustainable products in terms of how do they manage their everything. And also, I was as I was been in this space for more than 12 plus years in the managing the solid waste management, I've seen a lot of people working in terms of the I've been there on ground scene there. I have done one of the important one of the different kinds of study, which is called time in motion and ergonomic studies on the Swacch Sevak, or we call them as rat pickers as well. I've done that. So one of the important things that everyone tries to forget in this space is that they are the key towards the solid management, waste management. They are the key players of the entire waste management that has been carried out in India. And there is a lot of disparity between, I've studied a lot of other places as well in terms of how the solid waste management has been carried out. But there is a lot of gaps in terms of these are being seen there on the ground. I've also done a lot of studies with GIZ, also done studies with the local Telangana and Andhra municipal corporations and the pollution control boards. I see what we're talking about in terms of solid waste management and what actually the ground realities are totally different. As everyone was pointing out, most of them were that the waste processing starts with us. I think that is one place which we have not targeted. Just today in the morning, I was giving a session. In the last week itself, I've completed 2,500 plates, kids giving out the awareness in terms of waste management and sustainability. Here, I've just one question that one of the youngsters has asked me, sir. I don't know where did he get that number, that he got that number of, sir. India is generating 16,025 million metric tons of plastic waste every year. How much capacity does India has in terms of processing it, and how much of it's going in landfills? I really do not have an answer to that question that guy had, but I fairly had that India is generating 9.2 million tons of plastic waste. Out of that, some X numbers is going into landfills and X number is going into the processing of it. So I gave him that number, but I'm really shocked. He told, sir, these are the numbers, something which we have got in terms of what we have understood in terms of this in the 2022 is what we are. So I think the younger generation is more aware of what is happening on the grounds. They were very interested on the topic when I was speaking about the ergonomics and time and motion study for the Swacch Sevak. They also were interested on how waste management and sustainability management and getting into this entire ecosystem can actually help in terms of this. That is because in the interest of time, I would leave my details here. I don't want to people keep waiting. I'm always be available on anything. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deshpande, for that. I really would like to close by just saying there's so much interesting stuff going around in the industry. We just need to connect the dots and bring people together. Hopefully, this platform will help facilitate that. I would now like Aninda Sen, the head of marketing for Solid Waste India, to provide the closing comments and a session summary. Aninda, over to you.
Thank you, Afreen, and thank you everybody for your time to make it to this virtual roundtable. And so many points, if I were to enlist all of them, I think I'm going to take a lot of more time. But top of the mind, one of the things that came out is implementation of solid waste management would require speed and scale, and that is something, that is one of the key parameters, but to solve this conundrum of solid waste management. And of course, along with that, the skill set development and the various financial models, that we can look at. There are many more, we can cross-pollinate a lot of these models that are available in the public domain and see what works best. So as all of you know, that this is not a one and done program. Okay, the overarching objective of these virtual roundtable series is, as Afrin put it right at the beginning, is to foster a shared vision for solid waste management in India, wherein we talk about how we can be very cohesive and we can collectively work towards, a pollution controlled and sustainable future, and thereby create an ecosystem and a meaningful engagement. So this platform is absolutely neutral and all inclusive. And that has been our endeavor right from the beginning. Just to take things forward, we will, because today was a very closed door brainstorming session of sorts, if you will. So we did not have a larger audience. So the plan is that, we will reproduce the same program in a larger format, which will be a physical one. And that would be in the format of a roadshow, where, we will have a little more discussion, because today what we did was what we would call warm introductions, which kind of gave us some idea as to what the focus area is for the government, what are the solutions that they're looking for, and what are the technological interventions that are available to address those specific problem areas. So in the physical format, we will take a deep dive into all these areas, and discuss all of that threadbare. And there, the technology intervention, the companies who are providing these solutions, they will get an opportunity to amplify your message, to talk about what are the various business models that you have, what kind of technology that will best fit those problem statements. And, the audience also will be, there will be an audience, with the audience will comprise of, senior, thought leaders, as well as decision makers from the government, as well as from the industry. Okay. And in terms of the success matrices, we will look at this exercise. We got a pretty good idea as to what the alignment we are looking at in terms of the technological intervention. And as Umesh mentioned right at the beginning, this program is basically a bridge between, what the government is looking for, because they are the ones, who basically are the biggest procurement, demand that is there, and what kind of technological interventions or solutions are available. So our what we will be tracking very closely when we do these physical programs is to what kind of pilot programs or projects can be instituted with very clear success matrices, and also signing of some memorandums of understanding, where these can be put into practice. So that's the whole idea. And there will be a series of these virtual roundtables, as Umesh mentioned right at the beginning. This is only for the Western region. We will have one for the North, we will have one for the South, and then there will be a physical construct of these virtual roundtables, in similar zones. So that's all that I had to share with you. And to close this particular session, I will hand it over to Umesh.
Yeah, thank you, Aninda. Thank you, Afreen, for, I think it was a challenging task to get so many points at the short notice and short duration. I thank everybody, especially from the government side also, to make time available, and the industry side as well, to put their points. As Aninda also mentioned, and what our idea is, we would want to connect with individually each of you. As we said, we want to work as an interface between you and the government. We want to see how we can translate these discussions into some opportunities of business and technology implementation, which is what we want to showcase during our physical program, where we can actually showcase this is how it can be done, and what are the models where we can have an execution partnership with the government. So I would request everybody to be in touch with my colleague Radhika, who has been absent on this screen, but she has been working back end on every connection with every individual stakeholder here. Thank you, Radhika, for that. And I would like to thank all our partners, Times Group, who has come on board as a media partner. In fact, one of the Times Group member has been with me in our office to both being part of this. National Solid Waste Association, Material Recycling Association, SME Chamber, TTC Creek Waste Association, Management Association, ITAMMA, Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, and Indian Plastic Institute. All of you guys, thank you for whatever contributions you could help us with in this short duration. We look forward to now creating project concepts with all your support. Technology players, this is essentially for you guys that we want to bring this opportunity. And as you heard about every government, there are opportunities that they are scouting for, but there are limited people who are being able to reach out to them. So we want to try and exponentially give those opportunities across. That's the whole objective. And looking forward to having more interactions individually. And thank you, Mr. Shah, and other association partners also who have been helping us. And I think with this, we conclude our first interaction. Looking forward to the next ones very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.